rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee Caprio?
Present.
Trustee Rogers? Present. Trustee Sweet? Present. Trustee Trojke? Present. Trustee Brarian?
Present.
Troy Dukic? Mayor
Present.
Lynch?
Okay. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to make it real simple for you. You come up, it's going to be public comment. We will try to answer some of the questions that you have. I would appreciate it if you do hear the question that you were going to ask, let it go with that unless your question is a little bit different, because we don't want to be repeating ourselves. I don't know how many people are going to be coming in tonight, but we want to get to everyone that wants to talk and put you on the same page as we are with what's going on in the village. So with that, we will... Yeah, did we have a sign-in sheet? Okay. Did everyone get a copy of the question and answer? Otherwise, if not, it is up on the, it was up there. We'll get it back up there.
Is there actually a question and answer forms?
We're going to try to keep this to 3, no longer than 5 minutes, so because there are a lot of people here, we do want everyone to have an opportunity to talk. So if there is something that you want an extended discussion on, then we'll note it down and we'll get you together, whoever can handle your question. Okay. Okay, all right. What we will do, could they get the question and answer form back up on the screen, please? The whole idea behind this is, over the last 2 years now, year and a half, since we purchased the golf course, we hired an architect strictly for the building. That's all we've done here so far. We have brought it up that we would like to have the engineer come in sooner, but we haven't had an engineer yet. So we still have to have the property engineered. What we're trying to do is we're trying to find out what we can do with the golf course without it costing an exorbitant amount of money. And we're also trying to alleviate the flooding problem that's in the area. And then from there, we're trying to figure out what kind of park would go in here, what is expected, what is wanted. We have an idea of what some of the things cost that you're looking for. And the biggest thing that we want you to know is on your tax bill, there is no municipal tax whatsoever. So out of your taxes, what you pay, we don't get anything. The village gets not 1 red cent of your tax money. So if you have that in your head that that's what's going to be paying for it, you're not going to have anything. What we're trying to do is find out exactly what is wanted. We'll try going out for grants. We'll try to get a sponsor for whatever we want to do to see if they'll pay for it. A lot of communities have done it. It's worked out very nice for them. After engineering is done, we still have to get it engineered. Then from there it goes out to a park planner. Park planner will tell you what is best for where, and we can give them the ideas of whatever you do have, your thoughts for what you want. And then from there we bid it out to find out where we're going to be outside. Inside here, we're going to be renovating some of the building. This is pretty much going to stay the same. We got to figure out what we're doing with carpeting, and that's going to be up to the board to decide what they want to do with it. But we would like input from you if you have any ideas for the building. Behind you in the second section of the banquet room, that is going to be offices. Behind that is going to be offices. On the opposite side, we are going to have a community center. It's not going to be a senior community center. It's not going to be a kids community center. It's going to be a village community center. It's going to be able to be used by anyone that wants to use it. We're working on the price right now because the price is very high and we feel that we've gotten a big chunk out of it so far, and we're working to get a little bit more. So with that being said, let's concentrate on the park for right now. And as soon as we hire an engineer, which we will put out the information that we need to get one in here, and we will keep you up to date. If anyone in here ever wants to get a hold of any one of us, call the village. We will get back to you. You can also email us or text us. We will get back to you. We're going to show you that we can be 100% transparent. So with that being said, we're going to start with Jackie Barr-Pedersen.
Hello, I am the president of the Homer Seniors, and we are at the present time, we hold our meetings at Cross of Glory on Cedar Road. And before that, we were at the town hall meeting, a town hall building that was on Cedar across from the fire station, but we outgrew it. So we are interested in finding out if the community center is going to be able to accommodate 125 people comfortably with chairs and tables. Enough for like a wheelchair to go around, walkers, because if you've ever been on a walker, which I have, it's kind of hard to maneuver in between. That's one of our big concerns. Another one is if we are able to have the room reserved for us on the second Tuesday of the month, from probably about 10 to 4 in the afternoon, if that would be a possibility. Inside, like a kitchen area, which I see on the drawings that there is a kitchen area. And if there would be a possibility to have like a space for us to have like cabinets that we could secure our items in. We would probably supply the cabinets ourselves. Inside doors, which are wider, which I think that's already taken care of for wheelchairs to get in, walkers to get in. Outside the handicap parking and ramps with railings and electric doors, which I'm sure that's a state law. I think you have to have that. Let's see, microphone and speakers to be available, if that's an increased number of circuits for plugs to accommodate, numerous appliances running at times, because we've had places where we've been in and coffee pots will, pop a circuit because too much electricity is being used. And for outside, just for senior use, possibly like a walking area, a walking path. I don't know if that's something that's in the plans. I didn't see anything like that. Maybe a park to take grandchildren to. I don't know if that's I didn't see that on the plans, but I didn't really look at them. And like an entertainment shelf, like a band shelf for entertainment. And those are the kind of things that we're looking forward to seeing in hopes that the seniors could use them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Jackie, can we have that paper?
Sure.
It's a lot easier to look at it that way than me trying to write it all down.
Mayor, can we have them state their name and their address?
Yes. I just grew up on that one. We need the address too when you come forward, please. Next one is Jim Shurry.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations on all the new incoming board members and the incumbents that have been doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
My question, my name is Jim Sherry. I'm from 13616 South Beaver Court. Okay, here in Homer, Glen. My question here is in concerns as to maintaining this existing facility as a golf course. To the best of my knowledge, we have one golf course in Homer, Glen, and that's Old Homer. They've been in business here longer than we've been a village. Has anybody taken into consideration the impact of trying to maintain this as a golf course that it would have on these folks? I'm a golfer. I've been playing there for 30 years. I've lived out here since 1978. Golf is in a downswing right now, folks. Go over and talk to the opponents. They're doing everything they can to keep up the number of loops that they're getting, not to mention the banquet facilities that they try to maintain in golf outings. Has anybody done any kind of estimates with the Ludwig folks or whoever else you guys are, I haven't even heard if you guys are talking with any of these new management companies or whatever. Any estimates on what kind of revenue that maintaining this as a golf course would bring into the eventual management companies or not owners? We own it.
We own it.
But it drives me a little crazy thinking that why would we do something on a temporary basis to inhibit what somebody's already trying to do and keep their heads above water? Before you know it, we're going to take a great golf course over there and they're going to sell it off and build condos or come to you folks to build $1 million mansions at the so just coming from a golfer's and a taxpayer's perspective, is this really a viable option for a year and a half? We're already a third of the year into the golf season. We got golf. I mean, golf courses rely a lot on golf outings, folks. You know, us guys that pay our $300 or whatever it is to play golf every Saturday, these places wouldn't be open. You can ask the folks over at Broken Arrow. They got 2.5 courses over there. They're dying. The entire industry is coming down to a slowdown. My kids don't play. They can't afford it. I'm retired, and I can hardly afford it. I'm just here to open up some eyes and ask for some questions and ask for some answers. If this has all been taken into consideration, or are we jump-starting this? The mowing costs and all of that, you know, I've read all the pros and cons, and I'm not here against you or with anybody, okay? I'm following it all on social media as a taxpayer and an interested citizen. But has any of that been taken into consideration of what's this going to be for a year and a half? Are we going to impact that?
Well, I can answer that one right now.
Pardon me?
I can answer that question real quick.
Go for it.
We did not look for like a Billy Casper outfit to come in here because right now we don't know what we are going to do with it. Our whole idea behind getting someone in here to run it for this year, next year, is to find out if it is viable. Right now we don't know. As for the cost to keep it cut, if we just cut the grass, no weeding, no fertilizer, basically cutting the grass. Lowest bid we got is around $62,000. If we start fertilizing it, it just keeps going up and up and up. Well, we never set aside money to do it.
How about letting it grow and just bailing it?
The problem with that is you still have everyone around the golf course.
Just maintain a perimeter, but I know, I'm just throwing ideas out, guys. I'm not fighting it, believe me.
And the other side of the coin is what you said before. There is only one other golf course in the village. We don't know what's going to happen to it. Like you said, they could turn around and sell it and build on it, then we have none. Right now, you have something sitting out there that's, if we had to redo a golf course, we'd be talking millions. Right now, we got it for free. If we get someone in here to maintain it for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, until we find out what we can do with this, at least it gives us an opportunity that we don't have to go to the taxpayers and say, you know what, we need $100,000 or more, at least to cut the grass here. Then you're going to run into other problems with it. You get someone that can run it for us. He takes that responsibility or she takes that responsibility. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least it gives us a little bit of a break before we start spending your money.
Appreciate the time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Robert Ware. The address, Robert?
What's that again?
The address?
Oh, 14728 Innisbrook. I'm one of those people that directly is affected by the bailing. First, I'd like to compliment the lawnmower people. They're doing a good job because I watch them all the time. And they're, looks like, I hope, are doing some dandelion control, I hope, or that just may be the mower knocking the heads off. But when they bloom, I enjoy the seeds, so I hope you keep them dead. The idea of having some other use of the land, at least for the temporary basis, is a great idea, I think, in my estimation. First time I heard about all the numbers, but $62,000, and if you can augment that with golf, and in effect not have to pay it, even making $120,000 for the village is a good idea. And it might work, but eventually it's going to be a park. One thing I really do think is important is I asked when we were at the high school, we had the meeting, I don't know what that date was, I guess it's like a half a year ago now. I asked for like a map of some sort of this property where the community could put their ideas on paper and give them back to the village and say, this is what I think. Oh, good idea. Write some notes. It was never done. Not that my suggestion has any value or should be even recognized, but I think it would be of some value. Because we have a lot of brilliant people here. They're called moms and dads and grandparents, and they're called residents. And collectively, I think they might come up with some really cool thoughts. They've lived everywhere. And they know things that work. They also saw some stuff that failed. And they could say, don't do that. So I'd like to make that suggestion that there is some sort of map that we can have. If you have to charge us a dime, go ahead. But something we might have, maybe get a few extra copies, and come back with thoughts. It's nice to say, let's put a pool in, but I know from a fact that's labor, it's a lot of liability, and when it rains, you don't make any money, but you still have lifeguards on, service and things like that. But you might put, I lived in a community called Peoria, Arizona, right next to Sun City. And I think it's probably one of the most well-managed communities in the United States. And what they did even there, they put in a skateboard park. And it looks like 2 swimming pools. Ooh, liability. It's so many signage and legalistic things around there saying even walk on the property, it's your responsibility. But as the mayor said and the council said, when you walk on our sidewalks, we have liability. So what the heck? Break your leg in the pool, break your leg in the street. You're still going to break your leg. And you're still probably going to get mad at us because we should have done something like I told you to don't skateboard in our town. It doesn't matter. But we might put in even something like that. And that's just a low maintenance type of item. And it may not fit to be even that. But I would like to think that you really ask us. I, to my knowledge, never was invited, asked to put in my 2 cents about this building. But we are going to pay for it, all the modifications. And there was never my input as just a homeowner. So I'd like to say, and I've said it before and probably say it one more time, but I'd really like you to ask us as a community, what do we think we might want? And maybe in unison or collectively or maybe just in a few people, we might come up with an idea that says, great, let's do that. And it may be low cost. But it's very important. I can also tell you, I found my house is for sale. And I've lived here for a number of years, but I'm going to move, ideally, back to Arizona, where I grew up and lived. And I just lost my first sale to Lamont because the buyer said, it's not a golf course. So it does have an impact on us.
Thank you, Bob. Bill McNulty.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the trustees of the board. Is this working? Yeah. I live at 13561 Maple. I've lived for the last 20 years before it was part of the village. But for full disclosure, you ought to know that I'm the owner-operator of Glen Golf Course, about 5 miles that way. And good course. Just a couple points I'd like to make here. Number one, to put some numbers on the first gentleman or the second gentleman's assessment of the golf industry. It's in shambles. In 2000 was the highest point of golfers we've ever had in this country. The numbers I'm giving you are from a magazine here. You can get them anywhere on the internet. We had 30 million players in the United States at that time. Last year we had 23 million, slightly under 23 million players. We had a 23% decrease in the number of golfers in this country. To make things worse, those golfers aren't playing much. Last year, 2014, this country had the same number of rounds as we did in 1990. We have a 25-year regression in the number of rounds of golf played. No one could come in here, except maybe the Ludwigs, who I frankly do not know, and, you know, be more unhappy about this kind of statistic. But it's the reality. If you took a circle 10 miles wide around this room, I could give you the names of 12 golf courses, 17 different 18-hole operations, all within 10 miles of this operation. I can't think of a reason. I can tell you that anybody experienced in the industry would never be starting a golf course in this area. And the prospect of trying to maintain the grounds for the purpose of possibly going into the golf business in 2 years, I'll be very candid with you, is foolhardy. It's not going to happen. You may do it, but you're going to lose money, and it will end up being all for welfare. I just mentioned that we have 23 million golfers in the country. We got 322 million people last year. That's 7% of the population who even play golf. That's 1 in 14 people. Why on earth a village, particularly this village, where I've lived for 20 years, would get in the golf business for the benefit of those 7% of the population is beyond me. And what villages are doing in the golf course business, I don't understand either. It's absolutely obvious that there is plenty of golf and plenty of opportunities for people to play all over here. In fact, we have a plethora of golf courses. We have too many of them. Why would this village go into competition with private industry who is already providing the services that the villagers need? Do something else that will benefit more villagers. I don't know the Laponases. I've never met them. They're our competitor. But I can't understand how anyone can think there's any fairness in this village going into an operation and competing with someone who's paying taxes, providing jobs, has been here for years, and for what purpose? So the village can run them out of business? Because you don't pay taxes, you don't pay real estate taxes, you don't pay sales taxes, you don't have the overhead, and if you don't make money, which you won't, you just run it through the real estate taxes or someplace else. It's because someone's got to pay for it. As far as the short-term deal with the Ludwigs, again, I have nothing against them. I don't know them. If they couldn't make this place work before, how are they going to pay for what you estimated is what, $125,000 or something dollars in mowing? Why are you going to mow this place 31 times this year? For what purpose? I understand someone doesn't want dandelions blowing on the lawn, but you don't need to maintain the grounds here like it's a golf course. That doesn't make any sense at all. Obviously, I've got a conflict of interest. Every player that played here is a potential player that could play at our place. But I'm going to tell you, there is no need or a reason for this village to be in the golf business, and certainly not in the market we see today. And unfortunately, I don't see any way of improving. I am a taxpayer here, and so I have that interest too. I hope to take that into consideration because it's going to make a big difference here.
All right, just so we've got it straight, the village is not going into the golf business. We are not going to have anything to do with the golf course. All we're trying to do is save the money on the taxes right now for the maintenance of the property, because no matter how you look at it, the grass has to be cut. And at the same token, with you saying that, you know, it doesn't have to, we shouldn't keep it looking nice, well, I disagree because this is eventually going to be in a park. Why do we want to let it get destroyed and then have to start it over again? We're looking for, you definitely have this year because we haven't even hired an engineer yet. If we're 3-4 years out, or even if it's only 2 years out, someone's got to pay for it. At least if it comes this way, it doesn't cost us. Our taxes in this village are high, and that's without a municipal tax. So if at the end of the day, you decide that that's what you want, we'll put it to referendum. It doesn't bother me at all. All we're trying to do is what we were put on this board to do, and that's watch out for you. And we feel that this is the best way to do it. As for not being invited to other meetings, this village board tried many times. They never came around. We did have one meeting over at 33C, and the only reason you had it is because the mayor got sick and I ended up being pro temp, and that's the first thing I did is say, let's get a meeting together with the residents. We do want your input. We've always wanted your input. But you never had an opportunity to do it. And like you said, how many of you have been asked about this building? So this is our second meeting as a village board. Where are you at? You're in front of us, and we're trying to explain to you what we want to do. Like I said, if you don't want this, it's not an issue. We won't do it. But then at the same token, you got to remember, if you want this to be a park, the work still has to be done. We're years away from getting this to where everything can be done for you. Someone's got to pay for it. So, with that, Mary Ann Bozen.
Mary Ann Bozen, 13810 Rock Bluff Way, Homer, Glen. And I've stood before some of you trustees many times. And George, we did have a big meeting about whether to purchase this or the Dunn property, if you recall. And there were a lot of different trustees in here, and they were gone when they all held up their hands, I think including you and Mike, held up their hands to say they wanted to buy the Dunn property. I know that, but everybody was against it, so we bought this property. This property was supposed to be turned, and you would have been able to move from our rental property. It was supposed to be ready in June, that we should have been able to come in. But under the circumstances, there were some trustees that wanted this and some wanted that, and I think, George, you were the one who picked out this architecture that everybody else probably decided to go in with. And then they did. Well, as I say, it was supposed to be done here in June. Now we talked to this gentleman over here who says he was never invited. It's been in the Homer Horizon all the time. All you had to do is get up and go down there, and you would be able to know what's going on.
Discussions here.
Okay. And the other is about this building. Like I say, we're supposed to be in here. You're paying, the people here are paying $3,000 a month over there to have this here lawn cut into the grasses for the golfing, whatever. I'm not a golfer, as you can tell, for the grounds. They have to be cut separately, so it's costing a lot more money having them cut down for the golfers. And that golf is a big farce. I got Old Oak right across the street from me. There's the one that's down on Red Brick Road. There's, and a couple of other ones, right? Right? And so anyway, I think we should focus on putting the money into the building, getting you out of the rental property, because now instead of just spending $3,000 a month for renting the property, we're spending over $7,000 a month, and pretty soon the money that we did have to remodel this building will be gone.
Okay. In answers to some of your questions, Mary Ann, as for the board, the whole board voted for it. Margaret was the only one that abstained because we didn't have enough time to talk about it. When it came time for Dunn Farm, and you say there were a lot of people opposed, let's be honest.
There was only 3 people for it.
Mary Ann, I gave you your shot. Give me my shot now. With what happened with Dunn Farm is pretty much we got lied to all the way along the whole stretch when it first came down. What happened was people did want, we had a lot of the sports groups saying that they wanted more fields, they wanted this, they wanted that, and if you remember, when Mayor Daley ran for the first term, that was his whole goal, is to get more sports for people. When it came due for a choice, there were 6 properties in Homer Glen that were big enough to accommodate what we wanted. Dunn Farm was one of them. The reason we pushed Dunn Farm was all the sports fields were going to be in the back of the property. In the front of the property was 48 acres, all zone commercial. The developer had some companies that wanted to come in, and from there we would have tried to fill it up the rest of the way. And if it would have been done that way, we felt that all the parents that have to go to some of the practices, games the parents like to sit through, but practices aren't any fun to sit around and watch. So now they have a place to go shopping up front. As for Woodbine at the time, Woodbine wasn't even for sale at that time. And Woodbine was an income producing and had a lot of employees here. So, you know, you've got to get some of the facts straight on this. As for, I'm not sure what you really mean about the $3,000 for what. Our rent over at the Village Hall is a lot more than $3,000 a month. And as for the build out here, the reason we've had a problem is it took 7 months to hire an architect. Then when the architect came in, this whole village board was eliminated from any input on the golf course, I mean on this building here. We are the ones in the end that are going to, we're the ones that are going to be voting on it to approve it or deny it. When we got the price of what they wanted to put into this building, you have to understand we paid $3.3 million for this building and all the property. And when the budget was set to remodel this place, the budget was set at $2.4 million to remodel it. So a lot of what the delay was is I honestly couldn't see how you could spend $2.4 million to build something out. The building's already set. So we were thinking of the residents at that point too, because if we have $2.4 million and we can build something nice for a lot less than that, we take the rest of the money and we start putting it into the park, we felt that would be a lot better thing to do. Right now, I don't have a solid figure of where we're at with the architect, but 50% of what they were going to remodel, we eliminated. They wanted to gut this and make this another room. Why do you have to gut it? What's wrong with this room? Same thing with the community room. The community room was going to be basically eliminated. What was going to be the community room is that room that's right behind you, because it's got the folding doors. So this way, if we did have a big crowd, we could open up the doors and that's what they could use. I didn't feel that was a community room. If you can put maybe 10 tables back there, who's going to use it? So we fought to make sure that we got what was promised. Again, when this place was purchased, unfortunately it went out to the sports groups and to the seniors that we were going to have the community center. This was going to be a sports center for the teams that play here. The problem was we didn't know anything about it. It was done all on its own. If you go ahead and you promise something to somebody and then you don't keep it, there is a problem. There's a lot of people in this village that don't care about the sports, and there's a lot of people that do care about the sports. Neither one of them are wrong. So all we're trying to do is get some input from everybody to see which direction they would like it to go. Because you also have to understand, anything you put in here, sports, pools, basketball courts, indoor, someone recommended an ice rink, that all costs money. And the only way we can do that is if you're willing to pay for it. If you're willing to pay for it, there's no issue. We'll go ahead and put it in. But I think the whole village should have a say in it, not just a certain group of people. So all we're trying to do is make this fair. That's why we have you before us. The information that you got on a lot of things, unfortunately, it wasn't the truth. Or it was less than the truth. You got what he wanted to put out. All we're trying to do right now is make sure that we do hear what you're looking for. And then from there we can decide what is going to happen.
George,
So,
I'd like to make a comment on that. I have attended all the meetings, and I've heard all the trustees speak, and I've heard what goes on at the meetings.
Does anyone want to chime in there?
I will.
No, but,
No.
you know, all the trustees are up here, they can speak anytime they want.
But there, all of the others are basically gone. I think all of the others, Mike and Sharon, that,
I will make some comments if I can. If we're talking about the meetings that were set for the design of this building,
no, I'm not talking about the meetings that were set for the design of this building.
okay, I'm sorry, then which meetings you're saying that we were,
I'm talking about your monthly, two meetings a month that you have.
oh, okay, not a problem. Since we're on this subject though, I'll just give you my take of what's happened over the past 8 to 10 months. I was on part of the task force that looked at and read 22 booklets of architects that want to do business with our village to develop this building or build out the building. We got that down to 5, and then it was brought to the board, and then we evidently brought it down even more, and then down to 1. Pretty much each one of the architectural firms that we got in to talk to, and again, we didn't talk to all 22, we looked at the best ones that the task force or the subcommittee thought would be the best fit for the village. They all said very similar timelines when we asked them what we thought it would take to design, get it out for bid, construct, and get us in here with a turnkey type contract. Most of them said that if we move quickly on it, we can conceivably get it out for bid right around the beginning of the year, which would have been January. It is a good time to start construction on an indoor facility, especially when it's under roof, it's got heat and everything, so you're not worrying about lost time. At that time, there was no discussion of any outside construction or breaching any walls. So, and then after that, it would be roughly 6 months of construction, again, based on what we were going to do inside the building. As the process started with designing and going to staff and seeing what their needs were, which is extremely important to know what the staff's needs are and some of the pitfalls or some of the inefficiencies that are in our rental place, that took quite a while. And then the design started coming in. Again, as Trustee Yukit said, there was a preliminary discussion and costs that came through. I thought it was extremely high, over $2 million. So then different designs came in. We tried to do some different things. I'm saying we, I'm sorry, I wasn't on that committee to design this building or work on it. So I was reading a lot of the reports that came through. Unfortunately, when you have so many people involved in the process of trying to design and plan a building, that was done during working hours, and of course I work full-time, so I certainly couldn't get away from my job on a regular basis to come to a meeting. But I did read all the reports. So there was a lot more upfront design and changes and ideas to get the building designed. I feel in the past month, we've moved forward quite well. We've got the design down. We've done a couple tweaks on it. It's in engineering right now for the final plans. We've been talking about the actual interior of the building, how it's going to look, the walls, start thinking about carpeting, things of that nature. We've also had a meeting last week on the MEP, which is the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, full engineering reports on the existing conditions and what we have to work with. Right now, we're in the process of putting all that together, getting the drawings done, and then be able to start moving forward on this. So I think we're going to see it start to move forward fairly quick. Anybody that's in construction knows that fairly quick is just keep moving forward and not stepping back every time you walk out of another meeting. I'm hoping to have something out for bid within the next few months. I might be a little optimistic because this is going to be done in stages. There's a lot to it. There's also been a complete inventory of all the equipment that we have in our village hall now, what can be reused, and some ideas been thrown at a subcommittee or a task force to see what we may have to go out to and buy and purchase, because the size of offices and the layout, what we have existing may either be outdated or won't fit our needs. So that's moving quite well. As far as all of our other meetings that you were talking about, yes, our month-to-month meetings, I've been in them all. There has been a lot of discussion, especially late last summer and fall, about having somebody, in particular Mr. Ludwig, run the golf course for one more year. In my mind, that's a good idea, as long as it doesn't cost the village any money. Our goal here is to move forward with the engineering on the outside of the building, which is the park, design this thing, go after grants, get our funding mechanism in there, making sure that we're getting done here what the residents want to see done here, do it in phases so that we can open certain parts of it to the public while we're possibly doing other work on the course and not impact the use of what we've already done. One of the big things is we have a 100-acre park here. I don't think it does this community any justice if it's not accessible, ADA accessible. Right now it's not. I, for one, as a resident, certainly wouldn't want to pay for something 2 or 3 times. If we're going to start cutting down and filling things in and make it usable just as a green space, and then later on have to pay again to take some of that out of there because engineering says you have to move it, I just want to do it right. If that means having it, if somebody is willing to run this at no expense to the community, which will save our community money of not maintaining it meaning cutting the grass for the rest of this year and even next year, get everything set, get it ready, the engineering, the funding mechanism, grants, phases, see what you want, do what we can, let everybody know how we're going to do it, how long it's going to take, what it's going to cost you, then I think that's a good idea. But we still have a lot of other things to look at here in the near future, but what we have to do is start moving forward. We've got to get something going now, at least get something on paper that we have to look at and see what this is going to cost us. In the meantime, we may find somebody that says, you know what, I'm not going to come there and run it for nothing because we're basically starting from scratch. We don't have leagues. We don't have people coming in. We're just trying to get your ideas now. We're trying to make it the best we can, make the best decision we can. Number one, not cost any more money to the community than we have to. Number two is build a good park, eventually build a good park with the least impact on the dollars and the community on budgets. At least that's what I'm thinking of, and I'm sure some of the other trustees are thinking the same way. And I am sorry for being so long-winded.
Next is Mike Skilly. Clyde. Sorry.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Skly, and I live at 14560 Renmore Road, and I am with Voters for Parks in Homer Glen. I have a letter here that I would like to read on behalf of the Voters for Parks in Homer Glen. Mayor Yukich, Voters for Parks in Homer Glen is a group of your constituents that want to accelerate the pace of parks and recreation development in our village. Many in this group are young, working families that have commitments that keep them from participating in village meetings. These citizens do want to go on record with their wishes. In order to have their voices heard, we circulated a petition that reads, quote, I support the development of the Woodbine property to include walking paths, a village garden, and youth sports fields consistent with the original vision. I would like the development of our park to proceed immediately. I do not want an interim golf facility at our Woodbine property, end quote. This petition was signed by 409 of your constituents. I have attached the register of petitioners, and I would like to put this petition in the list of citizens on the record. The purpose of the village meeting is for the administration to hear suggestions about the future of the property. We would like the village to take the following actions. 1, make a commitment to build out of the Woodbine facility as a village hall and park by immediately tendering notice to the owners at Founders Crossing of the intention to move the village offices into the Woodbine facility by December 1st, 2015. 2, immediately nominate and seek candidates for the Park and Recreational Committee. 3, name the chairperson of the Parks and Recreation Committee who will be responsible for managing a subcommittee that will reach out to the residents in the Woodbine area for their input on the future of the park. 4, immediately address the flooding issues in the Woodbine area and break ground on the project as soon as possible. This action supersedes the use of the grounds as an interim golf course. 5, all park development will be in accordance with the village's award-winning dark sky ordinances. 6, all park activities will be in strict compliance with all the local noise ordinances. And 7, reallocate the savings in the budget of moving the village offices to Woodbine and into the Parks and Recreation Fund. The village can do all these actions without an increase in taxes. The funding to correct the flooding issue at Woodbine has already been budgeted, and the village would save over $89,000 of the $243,000 budgeted for office rents this year by taking advantage of its early termination rights. We want this cost savings allocated to the Parks and Recreation Fund. Homer Glen has spent over $100,000 in developing a master parks and recreation plan. This plan is the official village roadmap of the future of parks development in Homer Glen. We want our leadership to use this document to guide its future decisions on park development. This village board ran on a campaign of listening to the voice of the community and transparency. We look forward to your response. Signed, Voters for Parks in Homer Glen.
Could I have that paper for 1 second?
I also have the petitions for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
As for addressing these, we'll address them in a little bit. I want to still get through some of the people that are here so we give everyone a chance to speak. Michael Haynes. Michael Haynes, 13159 West Creekside Drive. John McGarry.
My questions have kind of been answered already. Basically, what I wanted to say is that I think we need to move forward with getting this building as Village Hall, get out of that other place, so we stop paying the rent.
I agree. As Trustee Costa just got done saying, we pretty much have agreed on a floor plan. We've eliminated probably 50% of what was in the original floor plan. And hopefully we do get this out to bid within the next few months. Dale Jansen. Mr. Jansen, could we get the address? Come on.
17101 Park Road, Homer Glen. I'm also a member of the Parks and Recreation Committee of the previous administration. So far, none of the members have been informed as to whether we'll be retained or not. But I have a prepared statement, and then some of the questions were partially answered, but only partially. So, the purchase of the Woodbine Golf Course was approved unanimously by the previous board, including some of the current trustees and the new mayor. The clubhouse is to be remodeled to become the new village hall. The village is paying $230,000 a year in rent for the current village hall. The plans for the remodel were to be completed after 3 meetings with the architects so the bidding process could begin. There have been at least 8 meetings and delays in the decision-making process. Construction should have already begun. Every day that the new village hall is delayed costs taxpayers money. As for running the Woodbine property as a golf course this year, a good portion of the golf season would be lost before it could be reopened. At a previous meeting about the operating the golf course this year, Mr. Ludwig stated that he didn't believe it could be run profitably with a temporary clubhouse because of the need for a bar and a restaurant. Using the clubhouse could prevent any work from being completed on the new village hall. Even if someone were willing to run the golf course using part of the clubhouse while construction continued in the rest of the building, that would cause inconvenience as well as safety and liability concerns for construction crews and golfers. Building in phases in a shared facility would also significantly add to the cost of the remodel. There have been many rumors and misconceptions about the park planning process. This is a very large parcel and it would never be necessary to turn it all into athletic fields. A well-designed park would have an adequate number of athletic fields located away from residential areas and buffered by fire areas. Parts of the village have been plagued with flooding for years. One of the reasons for this is that part of the golf course was once wetlands. By converting a portion of the land back to properly engineered wetlands, many of the village's flooding problems could be alleviated while creating a passive recreation area. This will benefit the village and should be done as soon as possible. It is also possible that this could be paid for by the sale of wetland credits. The Parks Committee has started visiting parks in neighboring communities to get ideas for the type of amenities we might want to include in our park. We saw splash parks, unique water and sand play areas, frisbee golf courses, zip lines, picnic pavilions, and a pavilion with lawn seating for community concerts, just to mention a few amenities we might include in Homer Glen's community park. A firm with experience in the design of large parks should be hired as soon as possible. That firm would then design the park based on the input and feedback from the Parks Committee, the trustees, and the community. An operating golf course will interfere with the engineering necessary to design the park and delay our citizens' ability to use our community park. Homer Glen does not have to build an entire park at one time. When the final plans are approved, construction could be prioritized based on the community's needs and available funds. The property is owned by the village of Homer Glen. It is no longer subject to property taxes. It should not be used as a golf course that is in direct competition with Old Oak Golf Course. It should be used to benefit the citizens of Homer Glen as soon as possible.
In response to some of your questions, the clubhouse would not, if we do get someone in here to run it, none of the building is going to be used by the whoever runs the golf course. As for doing it in sections, the whole building is going to be done at the same time. So there is no delay in anything. We still have to have it engineered. An engineer should have been out here already. We're in the process of looking for an engineer, but we have not gotten any responses back from them yet. As soon as we do, we will hire them to put them on to take a look at the property and see what we can do. There is a lot of retention area on this property. We can make some of the property bigger. So pretty much everything you're asking for, we're trying, but it's still going to take time. We still have to find out where the money's going to be coming from. So no matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, everything that everyone wants has to be paid for. If you start looking at some of the things that people have talked about, we'll make this quick so I can get someone else up here. To give you an idea for landscape right now, the quotes that we've received is $150,000 to $170,000 per acre. To put a baseball backstop in is anywhere between $2,500 to $8,000. To put a baseball field in is anywhere, these are just quotes that were given to us, $100,000 to $300,000 per field. Basketball is probably one of the cheapest. We're looking between $5,000 and $90,000. You got football or soccer, you're looking $50,000 to $100,000 for strictly grass. And we have been asked to put turf in. If you put turf, you're looking at $750,000 to $1.5 million for one field. Because if you buy something cheap, you're just going to be doing it twice. Playgrounds run anywhere between $60,000 and $130,000. A recreation center goes anywhere from $8 million to $20 million. Skate park, anywhere between $50,000 to $300,000. Swimming pool, anywhere from, for a community pool, not just a small swimming pool for someone that would have it in their backyard. You're looking at $900,000 to $6 million, depending on how you build it out. A spray ground, they start at $70,000 and go up to $400,000. Tennis courts go from $130,000 to $200,000. Sand volleyball, anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. So there's another one that's very affordable. What you have to look at is everybody wants something. So what do you pick first? And again, where are you going to get the money? Then you also got to remember, once you put all that in, now you have to hire people to run it. You have a swimming pool, you have to have lifeguards. You have to maintain it. So everything costs a lot of money. All we're trying to do here is trying to make sure that you're not taxed any more than what you want. And at the end of the meeting, we'll give you what our feelings are, and then you can decide from there.
My name is John Spratt.
What was it?
The next one on here
You
is,
don't see my name on there, Jeff Spratt?
No, no.
oh, you know what, Jeff, you're right. It is up here. You can go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. Jeff Spratt, 14003 Golden Oak Drive, Homer Glen. Let me just start off by saying, we've done this 2 times in the last year, and the fact that we're doing this again is a bit frustrating and wasting money from cutting the grass the way that we are. So the fact, again, that we're here again, 18 months later is very frustrating. A couple things I wanted to point out is, what's the holdup with the Ludwig? They've been hearing this whole Ludwig thing for the past year. Why can't they make a decision? Number 2, the cost of mowing is in the budget. So the fact that you said it's not in the budget, it's not a true statement. $23,000 is allocated last year, $83,000 is allocated this year. So to say that it's not in the budget is not an accurate statement. By keeping it a golf course in 2015 and 2016, it delays addressing the flooding issue. We have money for this. Why don't we start working on that right now? By not keeping it a golf course, it's just going to delay the ability to address the flooding issue. Get this work done immediately. Thank you.
I'm not sure on this one. I don't know if it's Ed Cremage? Or
I think it's
Eileen? Eileen?
What?
Did you sign up to speak tonight? No.
Do you want to address that?
We will. At the end of it, we're going to address everything. Okay, so looks like CREMERT, 139. Oh, okay. Judy Orban.
Judy Orban, 13801 South Teakwood Drive. I strongly support the Voters for Parks at Homer Glen petition and the proposed initiatives. The Woodbine property was purchased by the village to be developed into a community park, and that is what we should commit to and move forward on now. I am sincerely sorry for the Ludwig family and the loss of their family business. Everybody in this room was touched by the economic downturn that began in 2008. Many of us significantly. So we can empathize with the Ludwig family and the impact they've experienced. That does not mean that we should utilize village investments made by the people of this village for the progress of our entire village to help support a business that has already gone under. And I think there were a lot of good points already made by other folks about golfing. We bought this property to turn it into village offices and recreational facilities. Our village spent $100,000 on a parks plan, and we are wasting money at Founders Crossing. I don't know why we haven't tendered our resignation at Founders Crossing.
Wasn't that supposed to happen a year ago?
It was supposed to happen, or it could have happened as early as June this year, or June of last year is my understanding. So I don't know how much money has been spent at Founders Crossing. Is a lot more money than it costs to mow here. And so you talk about saving the taxpayers' money, it doesn't seem that you're saving the taxpayers' money. There's a lot of businesses downtown, scrappy firms who are making things happen with low budgets. The tables you're sitting at here today could be the basis for an office while you're waiting for an architect to build out anything that you've got in the offices or whatever the plan is. It does not have to happen all at once. You can sit in one area while they're working on another area. That's ridiculous. And don't scare people with all your quotes of how much parks cost. The community understands that it's going to take an investment of money to build a nice community facility. And we're willing to put that investment in. And we haven't even seen any numbers yet. You're throwing numbers out. I don't even know where you got those numbers. We've talked about, or the other Parks committee man made a comment about not even having somebody in here who has run a major project like that. So we haven't even heard from an organization like that who can really give us guidance on what this would cost. And you're throwing out $6 million for a pool? Are you kidding me?
No.
That's what I heard, for a unity pool. All right, I'm talking. If you want to talk, you can sign up to talk.
I'm on. Let her have her speak.
So, I feel like there's a lot of scare tactics going on here with the talk of taxes and higher taxes and boy, you better be ready to pay for this and that. The community saved or made a very good purchase with this facility and these lands. And we deserve to be able to have our government move forward on something where we can start enjoying it. And I can't imagine that's going to take 2 to 4 years to even start that.
That's what the engineers told us. So.
Well, maybe we should get more transparency on all that documentation to see what they really are saying. Because we don't have that documentation, do we? That it's going to take 2 to 4 years? Who's saying that?
Well,
the minutes on the website.
Yeah, it's the best thing to do. But
That's all.
even with the meeting for a year, when the last time Williams came into the office and talked to us about how long it was going to take to get this building, before we even decided to go with a plan, he said it was going to be at least September to December before they finished the plans. Then it would go out to bid. It would take at least 6 to 8 weeks for it to go out to bid to the developers. Then they said it was going to be at least another 4 weeks from the developers for us to sit down and be able to go through what they're planning and then for us to pick one.
Are you talking about moving in here?
Inside here.
Okay, there's offices right behind you, aren't there?
There's what?
Didn't you say there were offices right behind you? Aren't there places where people can work here? Does everything have to be perfect and set up perfectly before you can move out of there and into here?
Well, you got to think about it this way too. If everyone's telling us that they're afraid for somebody to go out and golf because we're doing construction here, don't you think we would worry about our staff and the residents first if they're inside the building?
If you had to work in every single room in this place, yes. You can't tell me they can't phase the work that they do in one room to the next.
They remodel grocery stores while they're open. Library.
I mean, you're the one who keeps talking about wanting to save money. That's $17,000 every month over there.
Federal government would be
every month.
We would be at those tables with our laptops. We would be sitting there working.
That's all I've got.
You were asking where the numbers are coming from. The numbers are coming from the park plan that's online. So you can look at page 93 and 94 of the park plan that you're referencing. That's where we're getting the numbers from. Relative to working in space, I think in my ripe old age of 3 weeks as a trustee, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of work that the staff has to do. And remember, we also have the police department that is going to be working out of here as well. So we need to make sure that when we do move, that we're able to continue to work efficiently for you all. Building permits come out of there, and we welcome you to come and look at the offices. I don't know if you've had a chance to do that, but to see it there's a lot that goes on there. And then we still have to make sure that we look out for the safety of everyone. I just want to address one other thing with the question regarding the Parks Committee. We, again, in my ripe old age of 3 weeks of doing this, and probably 40 hours a week doing it, got home from a meeting at 1 o'clock in the morning, went to work at 5:30, had a 3 o'clock, and now I'm here. Believe me, we're doing what we told you we're going to do. We're working extremely hard to move this process forward, but we also want to do it smart. We want to do a short-term plan, and we need to have a long-term plan, and we need to make sure that we're not making mistakes along the way that are going to cost us money to go back and fix. So with regards to the park committee, we are putting those committees together. The one thing that we're waiting for is to get an answer from Mrs. DeVivo on what her intentions are. So that's why we're at a holdup right there, because obviously we're hopeful that she'll stay on, and then with her staying on in the committee, we can kind of see how many spaces are left and where we're at with that. So it's not that the committee is not being addressed, we're just waiting for a response from her.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just also want to address the numbers, the figures that are given are potential ranges on items that would belong to a park. My early childhood years were spent in Oak Lawn. We had a Frisbee park. Frisbee parks don't work. Sorry to say. We have to prioritize and make sure for future use that we accommodate the majority. I mean, we need to make sure that it's feasible for everybody to use, and we're all in agreement, I think, that we want an elegant, beautiful, working, functional park with amenities for all age groups. But a price comes with that, and these prices, these numbers are realistic. They're ranges, but they're realistic. So we just got to keep that in mind. There's no scare tactics. It's a reality.
Okay. Next speaker is Bob Lahasek.
I'm Bob Lahasek from Homer City, 14340 Independence Way in Homer, Glen. I'm Bob Lahasek from Homer Seniors. I think Jackie did a good job. She wrote everything down, she gave it to you. I just like to say, I didn't think very much of government because of what goes on the south side of Chicago and in the state of Illinois right now. And I understand you people are looking for grants. I don't know where the hell you're going to get them from. You certainly aren't going to get them from them. But anyway, you people were put in here by a vote, write-in vote. I can't believe that's got to go down in history. I mean, that's fantastic. So I think these people behind me really want you to be here. And now they want to see what you have to do. And it's not business as usual. I don't understand why you have to wait so long for everybody to get something done. And I kind of agree with them. I think somebody's got to take the bull by the horns and start charging ahead. Right, wrong, and indifferent. It's got to be better than what it is now. I understand running a golf course seems like a bad deal. Of course, we're hearing from a guy that's a competitor. So, but I think he's got a good point. They priced themselves out of the market. I just hope you don't price yourself out of the market.
Again on that one, Bob, we're not running it. We want someone in here just to be able to maintain it until we do decide what we are going to do. As for the plans, we are. You got to remember, I was sworn in April 29th of this year. It's not even a month ago. We've got a meeting with all the residents, and I'm not afraid to talk to any one of you. My phone number's always been out there. I'm asking you to come to me and tell me something. I won't shy away from the phone. I'll talk to you. You might not like what I have to hear on some of it, but I'm going to tell you the truth whether or not we can do it. And right now, you know what? We don't have the money. And it's not a scare tactic, like Carlo just got done saying. It's a reality. Do we have money in the bank? Yes, we do. 15 million of that is still borrowed money. If we spend it, we have to pay it back. If we have to pay it back, how do you plan on doing it if business slows down again? Right now, we're getting out of a recession. It's been horrible for the last 7-8 years. And it's hurt a lot of people. It's hurt a lot of golf courses. If you really stop and think about it, is golfing a necessity? No, it isn't. A banquet hall is it a necessity? No, it's a luxury. The same thing with golfing. So yes, the golf courses are being hurt, and I'll tell you what, if they were loaded up with people all the time, with the recession that we went through, then someone's either got one very large amount of money or they're not being responsible. So all we're trying to do is, we're not trying to shove a golf course down your throat. If you don't want it, we won't put it in here. But then understand, somewhere money has to come from. All we're asking you is, let us finish this thing up. That has been being worked on, like I said, for about 1.5 years now. And we've got it within a month to where we've got a finished up product that he's coming back with. Might there be a few changes here and there? Yeah. But for the most part, we've got it done. We've got it done for a lot less than what they were going to spend, and we plan on getting it done cheaper than what we're figuring it's going to be right now. You know, everyone keeps telling us, you know, they deserve it. Let me ask you something. If you go to Orland Park, you go to Frankfurt, they've all been a village and a city for a long period of time right now. We're still only 14 years old. You've never been charged a penny property tax that comes to the village. I think right there, that's very proud. This village should be proud of what we've done and where we're at. Like I said, it comes down to this. If you don't want this to be a golf course, you want it to be the park that's got all the baseball fields, football fields, pools, basketball courts, whatever the case may be, then what we'll do is we'll show you how a referendum can be done. Put it out to the whole village instead of just a few people. Let's put it out to everybody. Let's see how they feel. And then from there, whatever the decision is there, we'll go ahead and do it. Because if they decide that they want all this, now you have to figure out how it's going to be paid for. Because I'm not going to raise a tax. Because I feel that we pay enough taxes in this village right now. And for us, it's for all we're trying to do is, and pretty much like Trustee Rogers just got done saying, and everyone that's sitting up here, you have no idea how much time this takes to do this. And we're not trying to get a pat on the back or anything. If it was up to me, and you can ask anyone in here, when they asked about a mayor's office, we got to get you a nice office. I told them I don't need an office. I can use any room that's in this building if someone wants to talk to me. So I'm not out to spend any money. So all it is we're trying to do what's best for you. Unfortunately, I don't think that everyone has everything in front of them that they really should know of what is going on and how money is spent and how money is budgeted. When it was said that we do have the money to do $17 million, I think was a figure that was sent out there to do a park. Did anyone ever ask where the $17 million is coming from? You know, has anyone asked how many new businesses have come into the village? We've gotten a few, and we're really lucky. We just got Big R, and it will bring in a lot of sales tax. Sales tax is what is helping this village, not property tax. Property tax helps the schools, helps the library, helps the fire department, helps the forest preserve, but it doesn't help the village. Sales tax is what's doing it. We need to make this village to where we've got more people coming in and spending some more money. We don't want to be like Orland, and I'm sure almost everybody in here would agree. Let Orland have oil. Take three turns for the light to turn before you finally get through the street. You have an opportunity.
Nobody wants to be Orland Park.
Who said that?
All right.
Who said that?
That's another scare tactic. Nobody wants to have.
Here, you know what? Everyone that wants to talk can come up here and talk. If you're going to sit in the back with not knowing who it is, step up to the microphone and speak your piece.
I was up there speaking
All right.
already.
And there is no scare tactic here.
Nobody said they want Orland Park. We love our community, but there are things that the village has moved forward on inches by inches by inches. And I refuse to believe that you can't take a bigger step forward to make some of these things happen.
We are going to make some of it happen, Ms. Orban. What we're going to do is we're going to get this building finished up and we're going to move everyone out. As for asking us to give a 180-day notice, no, we're not going to do that. We'll do that when we know that we are set and we can get out of here. Because if we do put in a 180-day notice and it is not finished up in time, where do you expect everybody to go? And we can't guarantee what happens. We can't guarantee the construction isn't going to run late. So there's a lot of things that everybody has to understand. You have to look at the whole picture, not just a little bit of it. So with that being said, we've got Gail Mehta.
Good evening, everybody. Congratulations, everybody. My name is Gail Mehta. Live in Homer Glen, 14952 Eagle Ridge Drive, right along the golf course. I guess one of our main concerns as residents who live along the golf course is how is it going to affect us, of course, with lighting, with noise, people coming up to our fence that, you know, we've never seen before. When it was run as a golf course, at least somebody knew who was out on the golf course. I see people walking out on the golf course all the time. I just called the police the other day because people were actually golfing out here. I see one of them got caught and the others ran. But I think, I agree with everyone else with a lot of the things they've asked for, but I also understand about the money, where is it coming from? I don't think what people understand is it's borrowed money. Where are we going to pay it back? I mean, it's one thing to say, let's go forward, let's do it. But are the residents willing to pay for that? Because that's what it comes down to. But that's basically what, I mean, as a resident here along, I mean, we are concerned about the noise, what's behind us. You know, it's been very quiet for us. Our property, like the gentleman said, you know, one of his sales was down. We've also been told that our house was like cut in half, what it would be worth. And so that's upsetting, and so, you know, that's our concern.
Thank you. Nora Skentos? Did I butcher that? Thank you.
Nora Skensel, sorry, I'm at 14717 Cricketwood Drive, and I am the most average Joe citizen you're going to see from Homer Glen. I don't have a political bone in my body, so the one thing I can say is I'm glad the election's over, because it was totally inappropriate, it was ignorant, and it was rude. So I'm glad that's over. Some of you I did elect, but I'm glad you're here. We just need it done. And at the beginning of the meeting, Mayor, you said, please don't ask duplicate questions, we want to get through it. Then I would ask that you as a board stop answering some questions and not others so everyone could get up and speak. To me, it's a math problem. We have how many community members, how many are interested in golf, how many are in football, how many are seniors. We have a very large senior community, we have a large special needs community. We need to look at what everyone in the community wants and get it done. We have been sitting because you are arguing with each other about getting elected. How much money did you spend to get here? To get here, fighting over who's this, who's that, Bankston's Farms, Ludwig, whatever. It's a huge community. It's not just two families. We have all these people, we have no parks. My brother's a realtor, houses aren't selling because we don't have parks. We don't need everything. We don't need a pool, we don't need all that. We need what the community wants. So get a survey, get something, get it out there so you're fixing the masses. But I agree, if you don't want it empty, because that's a safety hazard. You just need to take care of it. And I am a Stallions mom. I'm a school educator. I'm active in the community, but something needs to happen, and we can't wait another 2 years.
Joshua Barrett. Joshua Barrett. Frank Batistik. It's not. Okay. That's it for people that do here.
George, Bob Stratton had come up to me right before the meeting.
Go ahead, Bob.
All right, everybody, get ready.
Wait a minute.
3 minutes.
3 minutes? That mayor's not here anymore. First of all, my name is Bob Smith. I live at 14339 Independence Way, Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois. You already know that. My wife and our children moved here 47 years ago. Now, for the most of the people on this side of the room, they didn't even know Homer existed. They come probably from Stockholm. Well, I say, God bless you. You don't like Homer Glen? Please, move there. You'll be happy with
We
there
don't
and there.
Woodbine as much as you do.
Anyway.
He's got his, he can speak, just let him go. Bob?
Anyway, now, so listen to me. First of all, and the right thing to do is to thank you all for being here, for giving all the residents an opportunity to give you our feedback. All right? As I said, Connie and I moved here 47 years ago. Connie and I opened our business 37 years ago, and we're still here. Why? Don't ruin the end. Stop. All right, now, I was disturbed by the comment made by the gentleman owner of Glen. I played there for many years, and I enjoyed it. The fact that we have an opportunity, and I say an opportunity, to offer the residents of Homer Glen something that most other communities don't have. I call it a private golf course for old people, for middle-aged people, all right? Our community right now is comprised of more people over 50 than anything, all right? I don't really care at my age to support 10, 11, and 12-year-old ball players, all right? I don't have anything against them, but they're asking you to put hundreds of thousands of dollars into that program. I'm sorry. I raised all my children, and we paid for it out of our pocket. We didn't ask the government to do anything. We put our own bases in. We did our own striking. We maintained our own field. They don't understand what it is to come from where I came from. And a lot of us have. And I believe most of you understand. Now, almost done. What I want us to really consider is our future. Remember, we have a downturn economy. Everybody says, "Ooh, it's coming back." Oh, really? All right. Our business, quite frankly, used to make almost $2 million. In Homer Glen? Can you imagine that? We'll be lucky if we turn $500,000 this year. Why? People don't have the money to spend on RVs, on freighters, you know. Now, it is coming back. But when I bought my first truck, I paid $5,000 for it. I had a customer in today that paid $78,000 for a pickup truck.
Are you kidding me? Anyway, when I live by twice, but anyway.
Excuse me, he's got a radio and I can't hear. There's something that's drowning him out.
Sir?
It's from here.
It's coming through the speakers.
It's coming through your person. Sounds like talk radio. I want to hear you, Bob. I don't want to hear that.
I know.
It's like a sports game or something.
Are you recording it? Are you recording
These are frequencies.
What?
These are frequencies.
No, are you recording it? Good. Then I'll have it for my friend. And for all of you. What is it? All right. I'm glad that. Anyway. When I know in good time that you will do your kindness to protect people. You will make our environment safe for all. You will also make an attraction for all. Now, if people don't like what you're doing, George, there's an old saying. It's called skinhead. Everybody should know what that is. With that being said, again, I congratulate you on your history. I am glad to see the old regime gone. That regime didn't care about you or us. So, with that, thank you very much. And to all my friends out there, thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, can I say something to the Norman?
Sure. That's what everyone's here for.
My name is Barb Knightsky, and I live at 141 Time West Sanitary Drive, which is right here, and you can see my home from here. The lady back here talked about the financial downfall and people and their investments and their money. Well, something she forgot to mention is all of these people that live around this property have also spent their life savings and years of building good property. We picked out this property because of what it was, not what it was going to become. I'm not against the park, none of us are against the park, but we also want the element of property to be working with us so that we don't see the lights. I can see the lights from the park into my bedrooms. You lay in your bed at night, those lights are still on at 11 o'clock. Some of us get up at 4:30 in the morning, so you gotta have darkening shades and everything else. Not only are we having a park here, if you're not gonna have lights, this park that we're building is going to be for what? 3-4 months out of the year? We're gonna spend all of this money, and fine, if we're gonna do this at the taxpayers' dollars or at grants, but it's going to be short-lived seasons. So with the golf course, but we have to think about something that's for everybody into that area, including all of the people, because like the gentleman said, sales are, you just drive up and down the streets, there's a lot of for sale signs. There's a lot of houses that can't be sold. They're talking about the street that's gonna go through by us. We bought that property because of where it was, not what it was going to become. So when you're building this and doing this, whether it's today, tomorrow, or 5 weeks from now, please consider us and what we do have invested over there also.
Thank you. All right. Before we start answering the questions, yeah, come on up. And if there's anyone else who wants to talk, just because you didn't sign up, we're not stopping you. That's all that was on the list.
Sorry, I'll be quick.
I need the address on.
Okay, 13942 Greenleaf Lane. I live about a block that way. Ray Hart, I'm sorry. I just want to say, you guys have only been in about 3.5 weeks now. I think you ought to get a break from these people. I mean, everybody's jumping down your throat about doing this, doing that. You're the newest people. Blame the older people a lot of this crap that's going down. I think everybody ought to give these guys a chance. And whatever they do, they do. If they stumble a little bit, that's fine. But give them a break for a while. I mean, give them a year. And if they're not doing good then, fine. But you got to give them a little chance. I mean, they just got in 3.5 weeks ago. Give them a break.
Thank you.
May I say something?
Sure.
I've been quiet all night, kind of waiting for everyone to speak up a little bit. Thank you, Ray, for that comment. In my defense, I've been sworn in literally 8 days ago. This is my second meeting. Someone had made a comment about taking the bull by the horns. I'm absolutely willing to do that. I needed to come to this meeting tonight, and I actually was at the other meeting as well a year ago and heard all your concerns as well. But I'm willing to do that. I just needed to study the bull a little bit more to make sure I make the right moves, to make sure I do exactly what it is that you guys are wanting and needing. So yeah, if you could just give me a little time to get my feet wet and understand what's really going on, I'd appreciate it. I have been a township trustee for the last 6 years, so I do understand a little bit more about parks and recs and the concerns of all the organizations and their wants and their needs and what we really need to do to facilitate all the organizations and the seniors and the youth with special needs and everybody as a community together. So coming together to this meeting tonight, I was just kind of hoping as a community that we can all work together as one happy community to build this 100 acres for everybody, not leave anybody out. There was also a comment about building the village hall and these folding tables. Believe it or not, these folding tables are luxury for me. I work on a farm. I work with a laptop on a tractor, so this is luxury for me. So I can see why moving into the village hall is, you know, everyone wants to make it to speed up, but we do have to look out for the safety and financial concerns of the village as well. Thank you.
Brian, you have anything?
Sure. I guess I'd like to start just by saying thank you to all the residents that are here. I think everybody in this room deserves a round of applause just for showing up and participating, no matter which side you're on or what your viewpoint is. I've served on various boards or committees in the past where I would go 4 years on a board and not have a resident show up. So this is, I think, an encouraging sign for me of the community that my wife and I, when we chose Homer Glen 11 years ago, we looked at many different communities in the area. We looked at Lamont, we looked at New Lenox, we looked at, you know, she was raised in Palos Hills, I was raised in Bridgeview. So we looked at many communities and we chose Homer Glen. And one of the #1 reasons why we chose Homer Glen, at least for us, was that it was a blank canvas in lots of ways. And we, I think, looked at it as an opportunity to jump in and help have input on what the community eventually became. And so seeing a room full of people, and I know this isn't the first time, but it's the first time in a while, I think is a great sign of the community that I think we're becoming. And I think it's going to take everyone coming together and compromising on certain things to make this village, I think, the village it can be and will be. So I guess I would just, this has been a great opportunity for me to hear the input on the property. And I think there's lots of valid points on various sides, and it's going to be up to the mayor and the board to start grabbing the bull by the horns and moving forward on some of this. And so I look forward to that. And again, more importantly, I just think everybody in the room should pat themselves on the back. It's good to see community involvement.
I agree. All right, question and answer wise. The voters for parks, the reason I grabbed this sheet is so we can answer you where we're at with it right now. And it says, make a commitment to build out the Woodbine facility as fast as we can. Trust me, we want to. We figured out in 4 years we make $1 million if we weren't giving it to somebody for rent. That would pay for an awful lot. It's nice to have our own village hall. It's nice for our staff who works so hard. You have no idea how hard this staff works. We have one of the smallest staffs on the south side of Chicago, and these guys multitask constantly. I couldn't be more proud of the people that do work for this village. So we do want it right for them. So as for putting in a notice for 180 days. Right now, it's not realistic. Let's find out. I'm listening to the architect who's drawing it up, and then from there he has to go out and hire people to do this. If we tell someone that we're going to be out in 180 days, what's he going to do? He's got to market it to rent it. If he rents it, where do we go? So let's be realistic about that. When we know that we're going to be in that area, we'll do it. And we would like to get in there as soon as possible. Second, immediately nominate and seek candidates for the Park and Recreation Committee. Well, one thing that I have to say, and I talked to a lot of the board up here, when I read some of the things, there's one gentleman that writes a lot, Jim Orban, and he has some very good ideas. And I would like him to see if he wants to step in on a park department or on a park committee. This way we have input for everyone that's here from that group. This way, you have any questions, you can ask him. He would be part of it if he would like to. Jim, if you're in here and you want to, fine. If you're in here and you don't want to say anything right now, you're more than welcome to call me. You can call any one of the trustees here. We are trying to get Margaret back in here, and we plan to have Christine as the other co-chair of the committee. We're going to find out with Marcia, and then it would be Christine, and then we have no problem with who's on the committee right now if they want to stay. But Mr. Orban, if you're out there and you're interested, let me know. And if he's not, Judy, would you please tell him?
He's out of town on business.
Okay, if you would ask him. Otherwise, just ask him if you could please give us a call. Name a chairperson, which we are going to do. And we will find out, hopefully, from Marcia within the next couple days. Immediately address the flooding issues in Woodbine area, break ground in the project as soon as possible. This action supersedes the use of the grounds at interim golf course. That won't happen because the engineering company already told us that they need to look at it without any obstructions for letting the park get made up. As for the golf wise, they say they can do the engineering. They will let us know, depending on how the flooding is going to be handled, if it's something that could be done when the golf course is open, and if not, then we'll close the golf course. All park development will be in accordance with the village's award-winning dark sky ordinances. Yes, it would be. Everyone up here agrees with the exact same thing. Activities would be in strict compliance with local notice of noise ordinances. Yes, it would be, because you do have all these people who paid a premium for the lots. No one ever promised it was going to be a golf course, but no one ever said that it was going to be baseball fields with lights, because I guarantee you, there's no one in here that would be buying the property if that was the case. So we got to give the people that live around this golf course the opportunity to still enjoy their life. As for the reallocate the savings in the budget, moving the village offices, we would do that in the first place. It's money that's spent for the village. If it goes in the fund, it would come into this one. It comes back to the same thing that we had said before, though. We want to make sure that we get it done right. As Trustee Costa said, we don't want to do this twice. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that want to remodel a house and they thought, oh, this would be a good idea, and they do it, and 2 years later they change it because they don't like it. I'm not spending my money. We're spending your money. So let us work on it. We're going to get this thing done right. This will not be delayed the way it was before. Like I said, we already got the plans for this building set. We're going with it. We asked them if you can go as quick as you can. We're still trying to tweak it to make sure that we're not spending money that does not need to be spent. As for the sports groups right now, Township does a very good job. Has baseball fields, football fields, soccer fields. We don't have any basketball here in the township, but we do have parks.
We have basketball courts, we just don't have an organized group that uses them. There are basketball courts out there at Yankees Park.
At which park?
Yankees, along with tennis courts.
I believe they have a mentally with
Okay. But as for parks in the area, we have one in Kingston Hills Park, which is 14820 Carlton Lane. It's a almost 2-acre park. It has a playground for the kids. We have a 5.61 acre park on Stonebridge, 142 Stonebridge Drive, which is right off 159th Street. It has park facilities, pavilion, playground equipment, lighted basketball and tennis courts, a fitness course, and a picnic area. We have another park at Erin Hills. That's 14.69 acres. And it is including a large playground area, putting green, a small picnic shelter, a native area, and a serene nature lookout adjacent to several large ponds and walking trails. Homer Township There's Morris Park, where it has a fishing pond, picnic stands, and it has 6 soccer fields. We have Culver Memorial Park, that's 11 acre, that's on right off of Parker Road, has baseball fields, has playground equipment, picnic areas, fishing ponds, soccer field. We have Edmund J. Sender Park, it's a 6 acre park located in Glenbyre Lane in the Woodbine subdivision off 151st. Same thing, it has playground equipment, story walk, as well as a newly resurfaced walking path.
Can I comment on that playground equipment, please? I have 2 children.
Could you please step up?
Yeah, sure. Please, yes, like 5 children. That's Park and Central Park. My children are the perfect age for that park, 2 and 5. It is bad. I feel like I have to check it. It's horrible. It's so unsafe.
The township is redoing it. The board just approved.
It's unsafe. It's to the point where it's perfect for them for their height. But it's unsafe. It is unsafe. There's always there's glass fragments on. It really is. So we don't go there that often. I hear you.
Well, if you want me to, sure. As far as Sender Park goes, we've had a lot of people commenting about Sender lately. As many of you know who were at a meeting last year with the township, wow, that's fine. Last year with the township, we were going for a grant for the project. We wanted to redo it, put in a splash pad, a lot of the things that people are asking for. As many of you know, the state has suspended all of those grants. So we will not be receiving any funds to redo the park there. The township board just approved the demolition of the existing park equipment that's there and the creation of a new park on that property. It'll include a play set for kids ages 2 to 5, a separate play set for kids ages 5 to 12, as well as a swing set. And we just approved that at our last meeting. You were still there 2 weeks ago, not even a week and a half. So I understand that the want is there. We hear you guys. We're doing what we can. For these guys' credit, though, you have to understand in government, when we decide we want to build a park, it's not like when you want to put a swing set in your backyard. You know, we have insurers that we have to talk to. I mean, these people have to look through the plans for everything that we want to do and say, you know what, from a risk management standpoint, we can afford to insure you to have this on your property. They look through all of those things, and that's very important. For engineers to come out here and do their work, just to get engineers to bid on our projects. The highway department just had a bid opening for work on their garage. They didn't even get bids for a project. Wouldn't you think people would want to make money? These things take time to do. They really do. And these people, they hear you. Believe me, that's why they're here. They want to do those things. We at the township want to do those things. Just to get our proposal for playground equipment at Sender Park, that's like a $150,000 project to demo what's there and to put something new. It's taken 3 months for a very reputable firm to put together plans for that park, to go out there and take a look at it. Sender Park is 6 acres. It's tiny and it's already been engineered for a park. It's not engineered for a golf course. So nothing. The library donated all of that. The library donated all of that. It's a cooperative project with the library and the 501c3, the Homer Glen Foundation, and all of that money was raised for that, particularly through fundraisers. None of your tax dollars were spent on that. Volunteers installed those things. Volunteers came up with the concept. So we're working with what we have. It takes time to do it. Please understand that we want these things to happen in this community. And please understand how long it takes. For now that we've approved the Sender Park bid, it's going to take 5 weeks for them to just deliver the product here to us, just to put it in. So all these things take time. And if anybody has any other questions about township properties, I'm more than happy to answer them. But I'm not really here in my official capacity, but I just wanted you to know we hear you and we're trying. Yes?
Ma'am, that park is unusable without a pavilion for an adult. You're out in the way. It's impossible to go there. Okay. It's an open field. There's nothing there.
Putting in a pavilion was part of the grant plan. Again, we didn't receive that grant funding. You have to understand.
Township and Woodbine proper work symbiotic.
That's why we're so happy to have this group of people here, because we're looking forward to this.
This is an embarrassment. This is a 1950 ROTC training ground. It's
Can I ask you one thing, and then I'm going to step down because this isn't my forum. But if you look at your tax bill and you look at the Homer Township line on your taxes, you see how low it is, right? We're the lowest taxing district you have. We cannot legally tax you any more than we already are for park funds at Homer Township. We get $2 on average for most people's tax bills into our park fund in Homer Township because the township's not meant to be a park district and it's not meant to do these things. So we've been providing for you the best that we can with the resources that we have. Believe me, I don't like saying that that's a township park. I agree with you, but we can only do with what we have, and we're working on it.
Woodbine.
Sir.
Woodbine's not my home.
Township meeting if you want to.
That's all.
All right. And this isn't the township. All we're trying to tell you is the parks that are here. Do some of them need some work? Yes. Do we need more parks here? Yes. But then again, it comes back to what we've been saying. I'm sorry I'm beating a dead horse, but it's the money. Everything costs money and it takes a while to get accepted. We also have in Homer Township, you have the sports complex, which is right behind us, which I think they do a wonderful job. It's got the baseball fields over there. It's got the football. You pretty much can do anything over there. It's got a playground for the kids. So we do have something to use until this does happen. And I do understand a lot of families want something for their kids. And unfortunately, it does take time. I had 3 kids go through programs here. Now they're 26, 24, and one just turned 18. So I do understand. But you know, all the communities that surround us have been there for a long, long time. So you've got to give us a little time. We can't click our fingers and make this work. We're going as quick as we can. Still also have Tarantina Farm on 157th, which is a wide open farm, and it's got a park in there too. Then you've got Tarantina, the dog park, and we also have a dog park on South Bell Road. So we are going with it. And if you notice, everything that we do have, we've never come to you for a penny. So if you think that we're not doing it the right way, and you guys really feel that you want to build this park out and put all the amenities you want into it, we don't have an issue with it. But that's something that we will bring forward to the whole village as a referendum and let the village decide what they want to do. Because like Mr. Schmidt said here, you know, there's a lot of people that are on a very fixed income. $100 more a year on a property tax could put them over. Everyone wants something, but you know, it's no different than me going up to you and saying, you know what, I don't like the way your landscaping looks, change it all over. I don't care if it costs you $50,000 or $60,000, I want it changed. I would never do that to anyone. So you can't have the force the village into a corner to where we're trying to spend money that we don't have, and then I got to come back to you and say, I'm sorry, but now there is a municipal tax. And yeah, you wanted all these parks and we went for a bond. Okay, now we got to cover this anywhere from, like it said, 8 million to 20 million. If you give us some time, you know, Trustee Costa, Trustee Squeeze, and myself, we are the last 3 from the previous boards. We are trying. We've got 4 more people on this board that are trying just as hard as we are, and they just got on here. They want the same thing. We didn't run for any other reason except to make this best for everybody in here. So hopefully you understand where we're at. And the reason we did call this meeting, and one gentleman said earlier that we had this meeting about a year ago. You're 100% right. And nothing did go on after that. We asked about it and nothing went on. We've been asking to hire an engineer now for over a year. We don't have an engineer hired yet. That's something we can ask for. We can't demand it. Now we can. They can tell me what they're looking for, we will do it. We will work with you. Everyone, no one's wrong here. Whether you want the parks or you don't want the parks, you want to spend the money, you don't want to spend the money. Everyone here has a right to what they think is best for them. So, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them, but you come up here.
Hi, Deborah Bukowski, 14357 South Glen Drive East. I live over by the hole in the ground off 143rd. It's a big grassy ditch now. I know it's for drainage. It never fills up with water, and people have rode dirt bikes in there. I think it's like a dirt bike park now. But I'm concerned about Gorham Park. I didn't hear that name on your list.
Township. That's a township park as well. Yep.
Okay. Because that isn't a usable park. But okay, all right, that's what's on your
Right, yeah,
list.
because we're going to concentrate on Homer Glen for right
Okay,
now.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have a question? I see our hand raised.
Just a follow-up question on when's the decision going to be made with Mr. Ludwig? We just want to get closure on when.
We are working with Mr. Ludwig right now. We're trying to get together to where it's feasible, it's good for both of us. I can't expect someone to go in there and have it cost him money, but I don't want to cost him money.
I completely agree with that.
It's very, very close, but we still have a little work to go with it. And I don't want to tell you we have something that we don't have it yet, but we are trying to work on it. Like I said, this is a temporary fix, which if it worked out real nice, because there are other places we can get property to do things that are a little bit more feasible, at least for the sports. You know, if you look out there, you gotta remember how much work he put into it to make it a golf course. It's not a flat piece of dirt out there. There's sand traps, there's water, there's rolling hills, there's irrigation through the whole thing, there's retention on the underside of it. You've got all the trees, and unfortunately a lot of them we had to chop down because they were dying. But you have something here that, why destroy it if it's something that could be used to at least help keep anyone from having to pay for this until we find out what we want to do. All we're asking for right now is 1.5 years, and then we'll address it again. It might only be the rest of this year. If Mr. Ludwig decides that this is what he wants to do and it doesn't work out for him this year, I wouldn't expect him to come back and lose money next year. But at least it gives us a chance. And as for the people that said, you know, we're waiting so late in the year, if you remember last year, at the end of it, and I've been very vocal about keeping this open until we got this thing set, because I didn't want the taxes coming back to the village, and I wanted to make sure that the people that lived around this subdivision were taken care of. If this isn't any of their fault, this is still their backyard. So, and I asked to keep Jim Ludwig on, and I asked, and I asked, and I asked, and every time we got there, we got a hurdle. When Mr. Ludwig finally decided no, and you have to understand, Mr. Ludwig still had 1 more year left in his contract. Legally, we should have obligated him. We did not. So, the point is here, I did want him to come back for at least another year, gave him the chance to make some more money, and it gave us a chance to save some money, but we got voted down on that. If that was the case, his course would still be going, he'd still have all the clientele that he had before, and maybe a little bit more. The economy is getting a little bit better. But that didn't work out, so there's nothing, we can't go back. Let's start going forward and seeing what we got going. If he does take it, and we can work this out to where he's taken care of and the village is taken care of, it's a win-win. At the end of the year, or the end of 2 years, because we're gonna make the deal with him for 15 and 16, if it works out and everything's going good and everyone's making money and the village it's not costing the village anything, then we'll bring it back to you and discuss it. In the meantime, what we're looking for is your input to see what do you want. You know, but this time, we're listening to you. Everyone up here is listening to exactly what you want to say. We'll give you the answers, and like I said before, everyone on this board will answer you truthfully. You might not like what we have to say, but if it comes to the point where it's going to be just turning a tax on everybody in this village, I will not do that. We'll put it up to a referendum, and the village can decide what they want to do, because it's coming out of your pockets. Are there any other questions?
Just a quick follow-up. No one's asking for new taxes on that. No one once has ever said we want to raise taxes. So let's be clear. We know if we get that to be a park eventually, we don't want new taxes. But a follow-up to the Ludwig thing, if they say yes, in spite of what you've heard, is it a done deal? Let's say he says yes. So will it stay a golf course this year and next year?
Definitely this year. I don't know about next year because it depends if he makes any money.
Okay, so it will stay a golf course this year if he says yes.
Yes.
Even though in the budget we have it from a lawn maintenance standpoint to keep it just as a park cut, even though it's in the budget.
You have to still understand, if they do it as a park cut, there's no trimming, there's no maintenance, they're not going to keep the greens.
I know.
And if once the greens go, the greens go.
Right.
So if you have an option right now where it's going to cost you $0, and nobody can go on it right now because it's not ADA compliant, and we still have to have the engineers in there, why do we take a chance of not having someone else pay for it?
Well, if it's in a couple things. One, they're going to pay for it, but if it's in the budget for us just to maintain it, we can start using parts of it now.
No, you can't.
Okay, let me follow up with you on that then. If you said that the engineers can go out there with golfers, why can't they go on there when other people are out there?
You're gonna put some kids out there to play baseball with the golf balls coming at them?
I'm not saying you're playing baseball. What about golfers? You said golfers could be out there.
The golfers can go out there when they're doing the engineering. All they're gonna be doing is site planning and then figuring it out. They're not gonna have kids running all over. If the kids go out there and start running all over, they're gonna also tear it up. Right now, it's just the way we want it until they do the engineering. Nobody knows the 10th hole is actually a retention pond. The whole thing's a retention pond. So when I did talk to the Stallions on it, and I explained to them, you know, if it comes down to the point where it is closed up, we have to move you somewhere else other than that. The one thing that I did get from one of the gentlemen that was on the thing is, on the Stallions, said, well, we'll take 10 and 11, and we want one of them to be a turf field. Well, you know what? It comes back to where we have sports groups in here, and I think the sports groups are phenomenal. You need to have your kids constantly busy, otherwise you get in trouble. But all the ones that we have in here right now, it's not a township sports team and it's not a Homer Glen sports team. They are a non-for-profit organization, which is a private organization. And if you look at our ordinance, it's against the law to really even let them on the property to use it because they're not paying for it, the taxpayers are paying for it. And we're not trying to chase them off of it, but at the same token, if something happens, we're responsible for it, and the village isn't getting anything, and the township's not getting for it. If anything, the taxpayers are paying to maintain all this stuff. They do give some money to it, but it doesn't cover the nut. So all we're trying to say is, the township and the village, we want to give you everything we can, but I can't give you something that we don't have. And I'm not going to give you something that's going to cost you money. If you guys want it, that's what I'm saying. We'll put up to a referendum. You guys voted in. It's yours. But we still have to, no matter how you look at it, let's get an engineer. Let's find out what we can do. You know what it would cost to flatten that thing up? Do you know what it would cost just to get rid of the dirt? What it would cost to put the water system back in? Because once you start ripping it up, that's all coming up. All the drain tiles that are out there, which could cause a lot more flooding than what we have right now. All we're trying to say is, give us some time. We've been here for 3 weeks. We never had the opportunity to do what we're doing right now. We are. And you know what, like I said, I'm proud of this board. They all came together as soon as I said we have to have a meeting with all the residents in it. And honestly, I wish more came, but I do have to give all you credit for being here. You're taking a night of your life out, but at least this is something that's going to benefit you. It's not going to hurt you. We're not here to hurt anyone. We are honestly here to help you out. Like I said, I know I didn't run, and I know all these guys didn't run, and ladies. They didn't run because we want pats and back and money.
I agree with you. I understand. I mean, that whole thing with the 3 weeks, believe me, I get that. I understand you guys, I'm the guy, nothing against that. It was just the issue of, why not just, for the time being, just keep it cut as a park, and people can go on there for the time being until it's decided, until what it's truly going to become.
But you can't do it because it's not, we can't get insurance on it right now because the insurance companies won't insure it. We are responsible. So if someone goes out there because we're giving them permission, they get hurt, they can come back after the village and they can come back after the township. We're not going to do that because who's going to pay for that? Again, it's going to be the village because if our insurance goes through the roof, someone's got to pay for it. So all we're trying to do is you got to give us some time. I know you want it. I understand that. But you got to give us the opportunity. You know, there's the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day.
No,
Speak to the microphone, please.
The microphone's working. That's why I'm trying to say
Okay.
I don't know, can I read your work? Oh, Kim Combs, 14020 South Split Rail, home run. I came here late, and a couple points I want to make. I hope that the board is, although this is a great crowd, I would hope that you're cognizant of the fact that this is a very small percentage of this community. And really, this township, or this community needs to make more of an effort to come together, and you guys have to have some sort of outreach to try and reach more of the community and get their input, because a lot of people in this have opinions. I got here late, so I don't want to repeat or try and say something that maybe somebody else said, but you know, we're all very, very busy, and these meetings are very hard to get to. So I would hope that you understand that. My other point that I want to make is just the contract with Ludwig. I don't know if you discussed it, I don't know what you're negotiating, but I hope that there's some transparency there. because I'm hearing a couple of things that if Ludwig comes in and they want to do this golf course this year, and they make money, then they get to come in again next year. So is that the deal we're negotiating? It's like their choice, or what if we make progress on the plans and we don't want them in next year, you know, and can we kick them out? What is the contract going to look like, and how is this going to delay the park planning? Because you made a point earlier that we can't start using the park because there's going to be having to be work being done, and the engineers may have to get on there, and we can't have people on there. I understand that, but we can have a golf course going and running. And if we have a commitment to Ludwig and we sign a contract with him, then what if that impacts and delays the park planning because the engineers can't get on there? And what are we planning on signing with them? That's what I want to know.
Okay. Answer to your question, no, it will not delay it, even if we go a year and a half. We don't have the money to do everything right now that everyone wants to. We've got to find out what it is going to cost. The only way you're going to find out is you hire the engineers, they do the engineering, they fix a flooding problem, which to me, I would hope that's the most important thing to everyone that's around here, because I did have one gentleman that called me once, and I guess his basement flooded on 4 or 5 times. I feel horrible for the man, because I know it's like that. I've had it happen to me, and I know what I had to go through and what it cost me. So we want to get the flooding fixed, then go out and get the park plan. We're at least a year and a half to 2 years away. That's why the deal that we want to cut it, if Mr. Ludwig decides to take it, give him that year and a half. It gives us time to find out exactly what is happening. It gives him time to figure out if that's what he wants to do. And it gives the village time to be able to decide what you want. Let's price it out. Let's figure out what it is. We'll throw it at you and say, here's what it's going to cost to do whatever you're going to do. Then we have to figure out how we're going to pay for it. If it's with bonds, no problem. We'll put it out to referendum. But we need to know all this before we do it. We're not going to do this helter-skelter. We're going to make sure that everything we do is done correctly the first time.
No, I understand, but I just heard you again saying, you know, we're going to give Ludwig a year and a half so he can decide what he wants to do.
No.
I want to know what this contract is going to look like and what we're committing to them and how this is going to impact the development of the
The
park.
most he gets right now is 1 year and a half. If at the end of that we decide it's going to be a park, it's done. He understands that. If it's still not done, he wants to stay on for another year, why not let him stay for another year if we can't use it yet? If it is making money, and the village is also making money in that, then we can find another piece of land that we can use for the sports groups that's absolutely flat as a pancake. Wait, let me finish. Then we'll do it that way. We have to find out exactly what everything is going to cost us. That's why we're saying, I can't tell you what it's going to be like in another year and a half.
I understand. I think everyone fully understands that, and I don't think that anybody even wants, you know, tax increase. We want what we can have with the property that we already have. So that means we can only have a few of the, you know, wish list, then that's what we want. But we want something. We don't want a golf course, you know. I think that's the idea.
But even that's not a problem. But you know what I said before, it's nobody's at fault here. You don't want a golf course, but there's a lot of people that do want a golf course. So what you have to do, and I keep trying to tell you.
I think that I keep hearing, and you're pitting like people who want sports fields, the sports people against golf course people, and I think that there's so much more to a park. Well, because you keep bringing up the you know, the sports fields, the sports groups, the organizations. You keep calling them the organizations, and I'm not an organization. I just want a walking path, or you know, I don't want. I'm not here for sports fields, but there are so many different people, and that's why I really think that, again, this is a very small percentage of the community, and there's seniors, there's, I mean, a park can be so much for everybody, and
we have no argument with it. We have no argument with it, none whatsoever. But no, all we're trying to do is, the easiest way to put it is, some of the answers, we can't give you 100% of the answers, because we don't know.
But I think that a referendum too, I mean, you keep throwing out this referendum.
Well, but that's fair.
No, but what is that? If you say the community wants this laundry list of everything, we're going to put this out for referendum, and we're going to need this much money, and then people say no because we don't want to raise our taxes. So what do we get then?
Well, then
do we still get a golf course? I mean, I just want to know. I don't know what I want to know what you're thinking, because I don't think
we will get what we can afford to pay for. That's exactly what we'll get.
Right.
So what would the referendum look like then? Like, I mean, are you saying?
Wait, you know what? She's got a question, she's got a right to ask the question. We don't either. We don't know what the referendum would look like because, you know what? We don't know what you want yet. This is a very small group of people right here. Some of them want one thing, some of them want another, and I'm sure there's another group out there that wants none of it. They'd like it just to leave it just the way it is. So with that being said, I can't answer your question because I don't know. We're not going to sit up here as a board and say, you know what? We're going to put the golf course right down the middle. You have sports. We'll do 9 holes on this side. We're going to put a pool in down there. We're going to put this over here. We're looking at $10 million. You want it? Do you want it? That's where we're at. We don't know.
Right.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
I mean, yeah, if there's no tax increase. Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Well, you know what? Let me ask you
You know,
this.
I mean, that's the thing.
Anywhere you go, if you go to get something, and they give it to you free?
No, but I pay a lot of money in taxes already,
Okay.
and I understand
You know what I want you to
that this is not free. I get it.
I want you to take your tax bill. I want you to look at the tax bill, and you tell me where it says you're paying tax to home and land.
Can I just make a quick comment?
Yeah.
I actually brought my tax bill with me. And it's no secret, I pay quite a bit in taxes, probably not as much as most, but more than some. 72% of my tax bill goes to my schools. I pay $7,200 to schools. The remaining goes to the fire, Will County, township library, and the village, and the roads. None of it goes, I'm sorry, the village, the township.
But that's roads and bridges. It's not, and it's something to keep in mind. But not one penny comes to home and land.
It says .0000 to the village. So 72% goes to my school. So everyone says, I pay so much towards taxes. It's very true. That is because your school boards keep raising your taxes every year. They raise it 4.9%. They're allowed to go up to 4.9% without going to a public hearing. So they're going to do it every year. So yeah, you have very expensive school districts. That's where your taxes are going.
5 minutes.
So, in response to your question, I understand, and that's what we want. We want you to ask because we want to educate you on what you're honestly looking at. And right now, like Trustee Berrien just said, it's an open tapestry. We can do anything we want as long as we can afford it. No different than you guys doing something to your house, your car, whatever the case may be. You spend what you can afford. That's what we're going to do. We're going to spend as a village what we can afford. You know, if you look at the state of Illinois right now, they're in turmoil. Now, is that really where we want to be, where we live on top of it? To where, you know, the state, right even there, we're not going to know for a few more weeks whether they're going to start taking our sales tax. Because if they decide to take what they said they want to take, we're going to lose $1 million a year right there. Who's going to make that up? So all we're asking is to be fair to us. We want to be fair to you, you be fair to us. Give us the input that you want. You've got something up in your mind, call me. My number is right on my business card. My business card is right up front. That's my cell number. You can get a hold of me pretty much 24/7. I don't want any phone calls after midnight to 6. At least let me get some sleep. But as for talking to you, I have no issue with it. You want to sit down? You're more than welcome to come to my office anytime you want and sit down. I'll talk to you. I'll leave my business and I will come and meet you. Because that's what we are dedicated to. We are here for you. Give us a shot.
I'm sorry, what did you say your name was again? Kim. And, you know, in all fairness to you, you did come in late, so.
No, I know, I did.
So,
No,
so I just want to say, so you kind of missed some of it, and maybe that's why the reaction that you got to some of the things that we were discussing, you had seen, and we did hear from the seniors, and I want to thank them for coming, because that's what we need. We need your ideas. I love the idea of the pavilion. I love the idea of the walking paths. You know, these are things that we need to hear from every single different group in our community, because your definition of a park, and my definition of a park, you know, I don't have any kids, so my definition of a park is a little bit different. Her definition of a park is different. His definition, because he has little kids, of a park is different. And that's what this meeting was all about. We want to know, what is your definition of a park? What are you seeing in a park? And with regards to, it's so important to me that
none of you leave here thinking that the village of Homer Glen is getting into the golf business. Anybody that knows me knows that I am an avid golfer. I've been playing since I was 8 years old. I play almost every single weekend. Has not been the golf season yet, so we're fine so far. I've only played 3 rounds, so we're okay. I don't know. You know, you can play all the way into November. I played on Thanksgiving before too. But I don't want you to think, nobody can leave here, please, thinking that we're going to get into the golf business. No, what we want is we're looking for someone to come in and help with the carrying costs so that we can do our due diligence with our engineers, with our surveyors, with our park planners, without having the maintenance of the park, or AKA right now the golf course. That's all we're doing is we're looking for somebody to carry that cost. And when you're saying, well, let's just mow it, well then you're also asking us to allocate funds from other places to put back into the park. Well, those could be funds that instead of cutting the grass and paying to cut the grass, those are funds that we could be carrying into, you know, your park fund.
That was in the budget.
Well, you're saying the mowing is into the budget, but you're also asking us to reallocate the budget to funds. So we can take that and put it into your park. You want it allocated, that's what we can do. So I think that's just really important to me, that you guys don't leave here thinking that we're getting into the golf business. No, we're looking to have someone help us with the carrying costs, and someone who's been running the business for, 30-something years, knows this grounds like the back of his hands, can go in there pretty much, get things up and going in a short period of time, and there's still a lot of golf season left. If he doesn't make any money, that's his business decision. We're not here to tell him how to run a business. As long as he's cutting the grass and he's helping us with our carrying costs, then you've achieved our objectives. By him maintaining the property and carrying the costs, it's not going to delay your park. It's not going to delay your park. And we'll make sure of that. If after 2016, we're not ready to, the plans aren't done and we can't go into it, and we think, oh, in the middle of August, we're going to be ready to start building, we'll have a contract that has a termination right. I mean, we're not going to put it out there and say, hey, go ahead, you get a whole other year and we'll sit here and wait for you. No, that's not going to happen. We're going to have a termination rate. And he, as a business owner, go, well, I can't do that. I can't invest in this with a termination rate. Well, see ya. Thank you. Thank you for the year and a half that you helped us with our carrying costs, and we were able to allocate those funds. That's what, it's important to me that you leave here knowing that. It's also important that, again, what I want for myself, and I'm only speaking for myself, is I want to know what you want to see in a park, and I thank you for, what you've told us so far with the gazebos and the walking paths. We need those kind of ideas so that we can now go to our engineers and our park planners and say, this is what we're hearing, this is what we need.
And just real quickly, Cam, was it?
Yeah.
My point exactly that I was going to make. The termination right is the contract answer that you were looking for.
Yeah.
We, of course, don't want to do a long-term contract with anybody knowing that the future is going to be different. So we want to make sure, and as a business owner, if he can't come to grips with that, then he's got to make a business decision. We are not here to be his consultants.
And the last thing on having the money in the budget, it was put in the budget April 22nd of this year. We did the budget a long time ago. We had to put it in because at this point we had no one cutting the grass. There was no one who was coming forward, so we put it out and we got 3 people that came back to us. No big companies came in because they didn't want to do it. And the one that we chose was the cheapest of the 3. The bids came back at $63,920. Then if you wanted it fertilized, it was another $82,520. And if you wanted weed control, it was $3,650 per application. The next guy was $83,536 a year. If you wanted that's to cut it, that's without doing the tees and the greens. And then if you, weed control was $4,698 per application. And Billy Casper Golf, who came out and gave us a bid, was $129,000 a year with fertilizer and weed control included, but it did not include specialized greens and tea. This is just for them to come out and cut it, not to maintain it. So, and if you wanted them to do everything with the maintenance of the greens and the tees, it's $197,832. So, we know that what we're trying to do is right. If you want to see the papers, we're more than happy to show you what it is. If you think you've got a better idea, throw us at it. If we can do something with it, we'll work with it. But the way it is right now, everyone's, we've had meetings on this, we've discussed it, it's been in the Horizon, it's been in the newspaper, it's been everywhere. So sometimes when I hear, I didn't hear anything about it, well, then apparently you don't read anything in the newspaper and you don't hear what the village has been saying, because this has been a very contentious thing for about a year and a half now. You had something to say?
Just one general question, hopefully it sums up the night. Thank you for your hard work and dedication. I think that there are a lot of ideas out here, and so I guess I would like to know exactly how do you want to hear those opinions? What's the exact way? Do you want it written? Do you want it by attendance of these meetings? What exactly do we need to do?
I think Cameron, do you have surveys and sheets out there for them to? Yes. So there's surveys in the back for you to fill out. They're also on the village's website. Also, all of our cards are out there. You're more than welcome to email us with your ideas. But I think probably the best way in order to consolidate everybody's ideas would be to fill out those forms and let us know.
And then the other thing too is this, before we do anything too, this goes before the park committee. So if anyone wants to get involved in the park committee, if you want to start a subcommittee, we'll help you start a subcommittee. This way you do have a chance to be a part of this. Everyone's got to understand that a lot of things that we do take a lot of time. So if you're willing to volunteer and give some time to make this a better place, we'll be more than happy to have you wherever you want. If you want to get on any committee, we'll put you on that committee. This way there is public input. We want to make this to where you do know everything. So like I said with the offer to Jim, if he wants to come in, you're more than welcome to take it on. Anyone who wants to get on the park committee, we'll put you on. If we run to a point where we've got too many members, come to the meetings. You still have a say if you come to. There's always a public comment. And the way that I'm running it right now, I'm not going to have you come up here, sit at the microphone, give me your 3 minutes, and then say, okay, thank you, and not answer your question. If I can't answer the question, what I will do, I'll direct you to who you should talk to. I don't have answers for everything. So this way, but I'll be straight with you and tell you where to go and who to talk to. And the rest of this board's the same way. You can ask us anytime you want. All of our numbers are on the cards. We're all available. So if there are any other questions, please let me know. Okay, we'll go here, then I'll get you. All right, you want to come up here, please? We need name and address, please.
Danielle Conley, 13866 West Shady Lane. I'd just like to say I was born here, I was raised here. When I got married 7 years ago, decided to move back here. I love Homer. I've been here, part of it. My family's been a part of it for generations, and I really like the way that it's going. I was here with gravel roads and absolutely nothing, and now we have a Meijer, we have a Menards, we have a Home Depot. It's all great, and I love that we're going in that direction because our taxes are high, and most of it goes to the schools. I mean, they knew that, and when it's looked at the property bill, we know that. But I have little kids. One of them's going to start kindergarten, so my kids are going to start participating in the school and benefiting from our taxes. But one thing that we don't have, and I wish we did, is more parks. So I didn't like the way that Woodbine came about. It was a little shady, it seemed like, but I think the end result is going to be good. And a lot of this meeting has been what we did wrong, what they did wrong, you did it, I did it, and nobody's really made any suggestions about what should be. I hear athletic fields, I hear stuff like that. And one thing that I'd like to suggest is I know a splash pad is going into Center Park. anybody who's been to the western suburbs, they have been around for a long time. And they have awesome parks. I don't know if anybody's seen like Glen Ellen's park with the splash pad. They have a mini golf course, they have a zip line. And they make their residents pay a small fee. I mean, it's like $1 for residents. And it's like $3 for non-residents. And I just think, I know everybody's with the taxes, and I don't want my taxes to go up because, you know, somebody said something about an average Joe. Well, I'm just about here for an average Joe. We struggle to stay here because it is expensive to live. But I like it, and I want my kids here. And but it'd be nice to have some more amenities. And I think something with the splash park and things like that, if there was just a small fee, maybe that could recoup some of the maintenance costs, at least. I haven't done any research. I don't know what kind of fees that Glen Ellen brings in. I know Orland Pool, I know you talked about $6 million for a pool. Well, somebody wanted to balk at that. There's your $6 million. You know, if you want a pool with slides and all that stuff, well, there's $6 million, I'm sure, at the very least. I don't know that we need that, but I don't want a little concrete hole in the ground that nobody's going to go to because everybody in Homer can afford to go to Orland and pay their fees. So my suggestion, just as a resident with not a whole lot of extra cash, but 2 little kids, have a really nice park with really cool things, and then maybe just charge a small fee for residents, maybe a slightly larger fee for non-residents. And then maybe in that time, if you build a really beautiful park, you'll have outsiders coming who will also shop at our stores and bring in businesses. Because I love the new Meijer, I love the Home Depot and the Menards. I always wonder, though, how well a business they're going to do when there's only 24,000 of us. And you have Orland 20 minutes away, and you have Lockport 15 minutes away with a Walmart, and all of the towns around us are growing too. And so if we want our businesses to come in and stay, you know, maybe we ought to start attracting some of that. Maybe this would be a good opportunity to do so.
Exactly what we plan on doing.
Just a suggestion.
Mr. Mayor, if I may address that. I grew up right down the street from you on NK with gravel roads and all that fun stuff. You had mentioned Glen Ellen and Orland Park. You said they pay a small fee. They also actually pay a park district fee as well on their tax bill, which we do not have. So that small fee actually turns into something bigger. And I did a little research on the surrounding areas on if we did develop our own park district. For every $130,000 home, you would pay an average of $200 to $300 on your addition to your tax bill. So if you have a $300,000 home, you're looking at $600, you know, in addition.
Do you have to have a park district to just charge a little, like an extra fee to go into?
No, what you're saying, what you said was they charge a small fee. We would have to charge a larger fee to cover the expenses.
Well, I mean, what we were talking, a lot of people were talking about, I think they all assumed that it was free. The splash pad at Sendra.
At Sendra, yeah.
You know, would
they
be
have
like a free, you know, it would be a free thing that you could take your kids to. I know Lockport has one. And I thought, well, if you built a nice one and then charged a small fee for it, you know,
they were actually getting a grant for that park.
They didn't build it.
No, it was not. The state of Illinois is restricting all grants right now for parks.
So instead of building something at Sendra, maybe put it here instead, and then you could just, I mean, I'm not talking about park district, because we have park districts all around us, you know, and I'm more than happy to use that, but.
You also have to remember something, though. Every time you build something that you're going to charge a fee, you have to have someone there to take that fee.
Yeah.
So now you have help, so if no one comes, you're paying for the help. At the end of the day, that could be a loser for us too. That's what I'm saying. All we're trying to do is learn the best way to do this thing. I mean, if you're going to Orland Park, or you're going to Lamont, yes, you can go as an outside resident, you pay double what they pay in Lamont. But like Trustee Trikey just said, you have them even paying a couple $100 more than what we do for the taxes, and that's even, you can get a park department, you still have to pay somebody. A park district, they don't work. All the park district does is tell you what we can do, this is how much it's going to cost you, and you have to pay for all them people. They don't generate any money.
No, it's just a suggestion, because a lot of the stuff here you were saying would be free, you know, so why not put something in that, you know, maybe recoup something.
I have a question.
I have one more question. You're talking about volunteers for this park district. Is that going to be another government park committee? Or a park committee? Is that going to turn into a park district for?
No, we already have a park committee. And that's don't charge them, but that's people that are coming forward and volunteering their time. That we're going to keep. We're not going to put no park department here, we're not going to put.
Okay, so this park that we're building, is that going to be an open park for all the residents, including the sports fields? Or are the sports fields going to be ran by our, do we have any insights to that?
All this is just a committee. They don't do anything except find property, figure out what we can do with it. They kind of guide the board of what direction.
We as residents right now, and us having a non-for-profit organization, which our daughter grew up on, and so did thousands of kids through, we could not use these fields to have games on.
Right.
Because of the sports team's ownership of it.
Correct.
And they weren't very polite to let us use them. In fact, we tried hosting a tournament, which we were thrown out of, and we had a fight to use it because we are also residents. You're going to build a park. Are we able to have family games there, or is this going to be open, or do you have any insight of how that's going to work?
Well, with the people paying their taxes on it, they should also be able to use it.
So will we have to go into a park district to do that?
No, you don't have to go into a park district to do that. That can be the township and the village working together to be able to guide it to where anyone that lives in the village can use it too. But that's something else that we really have to look into, because no matter what we do here for any kind of a sports group, any kind of groups, we want to mirror what the township has, so there's no confusion with anyone here. They understand that this is what they can do there, this is all they can do here. And the same thing, if they're doing it at home, this is all they can do in the township. But these are still things that are down the line too. So, you have one question?
A really quick question. Dorothy Lahasa, 14340 Independence Way. You're asking for volunteers when you work with the parks? Mm-hmm. When you plan for the seniors, will you ask for volunteers?
Yes, we will.
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, and I didn't see any other hands go up, I do appreciate you all coming out here. It does mean a lot to us. We do need to hear something from the residents. I like to have it more than just when we call a special meeting, because there's a lot that's happening in the village right now. We like your input. We want you to know what's going on. But the one thing that, you know, with everyone, if we promise transparency, it'll be there. But you also got to remember, you want it transparent, you got to read the newspapers, you got to go online and look at what's in the online for you to see what's going on in the village, because we can't go door to door and fill you in on what's going on in the village. You guys all have to be involved with us too. If you have any questions, again, call us, email us, or text us. So with that, I would like to get a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned.